The mysterious signal. The Galactic Empire had thrived for centuries, a sprawling network of planets, systems, and species united under a single banner. Their technology was unmatched, their fleets vast, and their enemies long defeated. They ruled the galaxy with confidence, secure in their belief that no threat could challenge their supremacy. But that belief was about to be tested. It began on a quiet day in the Empire's central communication hub. Deep in the heart of their capital planet, a massive array of satellites and computers monitored the galaxy. Every signal, every whisper from distant worlds, was captured, analyzed, and cataloged. Most days were uneventful, the occasional pirate transmission or rogue system glitch keeping the analysts busy. But on this day, something different happened. The signal was faint at first, almost like static, but it grew stronger with every passing moment. It came from the edge of the Empire's territory, an unremarkable and largely unexplored region of space. The analysts watched with growing confusion as the signal stabilized into a clear and deliberate pattern. It was a message. Humans, do not interfere. This is your only warning. The room fell silent. Analysts exchanged puzzled looks, some unsure if this was a prank or a mistake. Humans. The name was unfamiliar, almost laughable. No known species by that name existed in the Empire's vast archives. Yet the warning was clear and chilling in its simplicity. The message was quickly sent to the highest levels of the Empire. Within hours, the Emperor himself was briefed. He was a proud and ruthless leader, a man who had expanded the Empire's reach through sheer willpower and unrelenting ambition. As he listened to the report, his expression shifted from amusement to irritation. "This is nonsense," he declared, his voice booming through the chamber. "A childish attempt to frighten us. Humans. Ridiculous. Find the source of this signal and deal with it immediately." A fleet was assembled, small but powerful, led by Admiral Kale. Known for his cold precision and unwavering loyalty to the Empire, Kale was the perfect choice for what seemed like a simple mission. His orders were clear: investigate the source of the signal, assess the situation, and eliminate any threat. The fleet departed within days, heading for the coordinates provided by the analysts. As the ships neared the edge of the Empire's territory, the crew began to feel a growing sense of unease. The stars here seemed dimmer, the vastness of space heavier. It was a region no Imperial ship had explored before, and it carried an air of mystery. When they arrived at the designated coordinates, they found a star system that was eerily silent. The planets were barren, devoid of life, and the system's star glowed faintly as if it, too, were holding its breath. The source of the signal was clear: a massive space station orbiting a dead planet. The station was unlike anything they had seen before. It was sleek and dark, with sharp angles and a strange, almost organic design. It emitted no signals, no signs of life, and no visible defenses. It was as if it were waiting. Admiral Kale ordered the fleet to approach cautiously. As they drew closer, the silence grew unbearable. The station loomed larger on their screens, its surface smooth and unbroken, save for a single glowing light at its center. Then, without warning, a voice filled their communication channels. "We told you to run. You have 10 seconds to comply." The voice was calm, almost indifferent, but it carried a weight that sent shivers down the spines of the crew. Kale scoffed, his confidence unwavering. "Primitive fools," he muttered. "Prepare to fire. Let's show them what happens when they mock the Empire." The fleet's weapon systems powered up, their energy signatures blazing across the void. The countdown continued. 5 seconds. 4. 3. Kale gave the order to fire. But before a single shot could be launched, the station reacted. A pulse of light, impossibly bright and fast, erupted from the station, engulfing the entire fleet. The ships shuddered as their systems failed one by one. Engines sputtered, weapons went dark, and even life support flickered dangerously. Within seconds, the fleet was helpless, floating adrift in space. The silence returned, broken only by the panicked voices of the crew. The voice spoke again, colder this time. This was mercy. Next time, there will be none. As quickly as it had appeared, the light vanished. The station remained still, its single glowing light pulsing faintly as if in quiet warning. The fleet, battered and defeated, had no choice but to retreat. Admiral Kale, humiliated and shaken, sent a report back to the Empire. The message was clear. The humans, whoever they were not to be underestimated. Back on the capital planet, the Emperor read the report with a scowl. He slammed his fist on the table, his pride wounded. Humans, he growled. They will regret this. And so, the stage was set for a confrontation that would shake the galaxy to its core. First encounter. The Galactic Empire was not known for patience or mercy. The humiliation of Admiral Kale's fleet had spread like wildfire, and the pride of the Empire was now at stake. The Emperor wasted no time. Another fleet, larger and more powerful, was assembled. This time, it was led by Grand Admiral Vela, a strategist famed for her cunning and ruthlessness. Her orders were simple: find these humans and bring them to their knees. The fleet entered hyperspace with precision and purpose, leaving the Empire's core systems behind and plunging into the uncharted region of space. The journey was tense, the air on the ships thick with anticipation. Rumors of the previous fleet's defeat swirled among the crew. Some dismissed it as exaggeration, but others spoke in hushed tones of the terrifying pulse of light that had disabled Kale's ships. Vela silenced the chatter with a single declaration: fear has no place in the Empire. Whatever these humans are, they will fall like the countless others who dared oppose us. As the fleet approached the coordinates of the mysterious station, their instruments picked up something unexpected: a faint energy signature, far away but moving rapidly. Tracking multiple objects, one of the officers reported. Small ships. They're fast. Humans, Vela muttered, her eyes narrowing. Let them come. Ready the interceptors. The fleet formed a defensive formation, their massive capital ships bristling with weapons. The small ships drew closer, their movements erratic and precise, darting through space with an agility that defied Imperial technology. Suddenly, the human ships stopped just outside firing range. There were no insignias, no identifying marks. Their sleek, dark hulls reflected the starlight like liquid metal. The Empire's sensors struggled to lock onto them, as if they were cloaked in some kind of advanced interference field. A message came through the Imperial comm channels. The same voice from before, calm, detached, and utterly fearless. You have ignored our warning. This will be your only chance to turn back. Vela smirked, her confidence unshaken. Open a channel, she commanded. When the connection was established, Vela leaned forward, her voice dripping with arrogance. This is Grand Admiral Vela of the Galactic Empire. You will surrender immediately or face annihilation. The human voice responded without hesitation. You are in no position to make demands. Leave now or suffer the consequences. Vela laughed. Fire, she ordered. The Imperial ships unleashed a barrage of energy weapons, their beams streaking across the void toward the human vessels. For a brief moment, it seemed as though the humans would be obliterated. But then, something astonishing happened. The human ships moved, not in the way Imperial ships moved, predictably, with inertia and momentum, but with an impossible, instantaneous precision. One moment, the human ships were in the path of the Imperial attack. The next, they were gone, evading every shot with effortless ease. Before the Empire could react, the human ships retaliated. Tiny beams of energy lanced out from their hulls, striking key points on the Imperial vessels. The shots were surgical, targeting weapon systems, engines, and shields. Within seconds, several Imperial ships were disabled, drifting helplessly in space. Vela clenched her fists. How are they doing this? She demanded. The humans were relentless. They moved like predators, circling the Imperial fleet and striking with precision. It was not an all-out assault, but a display of dominance, as if they were toying with their prey. One of the human ships broke formation and approached the Imperial flagship. The crew watched in stunned silence as the small craft hovered directly in front of their bridge, its dark surface gleaming like polished obsidian. The voice returned, this time louder, filling the entire bridge. "We warned you. Twice. Do not mistake our patience for weakness." Before Vela could respond, the human ship emitted a pulse of energy. It wasn't an attack. It was a demonstration. The Imperial fleet's systems flickered and died, plunging the ships into darkness. The only light came from the human vessel, its glow casting eerie shadows across the bridge. For the first time in her career, Vela felt something she had never allowed herself to feel. Fear. The voice spoke one final time. "Tell your empire this. We do not seek war, but we will end it if it comes. Run." The human ships vanished as quickly as they had appeared, leaving the Imperial fleet crippled and humiliated. Vela stared at the empty void, her pride shattered. Back in the Empire's capital, the news of the fleet's defeat sent shockwaves through the population. The Emperor, furious and desperate, called an emergency council meeting. "This is no longer a skirmish," he declared. "This is war." But even as he spoke, the question lingered in every mind. Who were these humans, and how did they become so powerful? The Empire's pride. The Imperial Council chamber was a place of grandeur, its walls adorned with the histories of the Galactic Empire's conquests. But on this day, the air was thick with unease. The defeat of not one but two fleets had shattered the illusion of invincibility that the Empire had carefully cultivated over centuries. The Emperor stood at the center of the chamber, his dark robes flowing like a storm cloud. His voice boomed with fury. "We are the Galactic Empire. We bow to no one, least of all to some shadowy force calling themselves humans." He slammed his fist onto the table, silencing the murmurs of the council. Despite his bluster, cracks were forming in the council's unity. Some advisors whispered of the humans' overwhelming technological superiority, urging caution. Others, their pride wounded, demanded vengeance. One of the Emperor's closest generals, Lord Tyrex, leaned forward, his voice cold and calculating. "We have never faced an enemy like this before. Their technology is unprecedented. But we have strength in numbers. We can overwhelm them through sheer force." "And what if they're not just stronger?" interjected Councillor Vera, one of the more pragmatic voices in the chamber. "What if there's something else entirely? Their ships moved in ways we can't replicate. Their weapons bypassed our strongest shields as if they weren't even there." Her words hung in the air, and for a moment, silence reigned. Finally, the Emperor spoke. "Enough of this cowardice. These humans have humiliated us, but they will not defeat us. Assemble the full might of the Imperial fleet. We will crush them." The order was given, and across the Empire, the largest military mobilization in history began. Thousands of ships, from sleek destroyers to colossal dreadnoughts, gathered at staging points. The sheer scale of the fleet was a testament to the Empire's dominance, a force that no known species could hope to rival. The secrets of the past. Meanwhile, in a shadowy research facility on the Empire's core world, Imperial scientists worked tirelessly to analyze data from the encounters with the humans. Among them was Dr. Ilara Venn, a brilliant sinologist whose curiosity had always been her greatest strength and her greatest weakness. Ilara had been studying the humans' technology since the First Fleet's defeat. It was unlike anything she had ever seen, sleek, efficient, and impossibly advanced. But what intrigued her most was its simplicity. "It's as if they've mastered concepts we've barely begun to understand," she muttered to herself, staring at a holographic projection of the human ships. Her research led her to an obscure section of the Empire's archives, a place few dared to explore. There she unearthed ancient records, fragments of stories, myths, and warnings from long-forgotten civilizations. One phrase appeared repeatedly, written in languages older than the Empire itself. The first ones. According to the texts, the first ones had ruled the galaxy eons ago, their empire stretching across the stars. They were described as creators, builders, and warriors of unmatched power. But one day, they'd vanished, leaving only ruins and legends behind. Ilara's heart raced as she pieced it together. The humans were not just some rogue species. They were the first ones, or their descendants. She brought her findings to the Emperor, but he dismissed her immediately. "Legends and fairy tales will not save us, Doctor," he sneered. "Focus on something useful." But Ilara knew the truth. The humans were not a new threat. They were the galaxy's original masters. Humanity watches. Far from the Empire's chaos, humanity observed in silence. Their intelligence network had infiltrated the Empire's communication systems, and they listened to every desperate plan and boastful threat. In a hidden command center, buried deep beneath the surface of Earth, Admiral Lai reviewed the latest reports. "They're coming," said a young officer, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "The largest fleet the Empire has ever assembled. They're throwing everything at us." Lai nodded, his expression calm. "Good. Let them come." The room was filled with quiet confidence. Humanity had prepared for this moment for centuries. They had watched as the Empire expanded, growing bloated with pride and complacency. Now, the reckoning was at hand. Lai turned to his second-in-command, Commander Ayla. "Begin Phase 2. It's time they learned who we are." Ayla smiled. "Yes, sir. They won't know what hit them." The trap is set. As the Imperial fleet gathered near the edge of human space, they encountered no resistance. No human ships appeared to challenge them. No warnings crackled through their comms. It was almost too quiet. Vela, reinstated after her previous failure, stood on the bridge of her flagship, scanning the void. The fleet's sensors detected nothing but empty space. "They're hiding," she muttered. "Cowards." The fleet pushed deeper into the uncharted region, their formations tight and their weapons ready. Then, without warning, the stars around them seemed to vanish. "What's happening?" shouted one of the officers. The answer came seconds later. Massive energy fields blinked into existence, cutting the Imperial fleet off from retreat. The humans had created a trap, an artificial battlefield where the Empire's numerical advantage meant nothing. And then the humans arrived. Hundreds of sleek, black ships emerged from the void, their engines humming with an eerie, otherworldly power. They didn't attack immediately. Instead, they formed a perfect sphere around the Imperial fleet, their movements impossibly precise. A single message was broadcast across the Imperial channels. "This is your last chance. Surrender or be destroyed." Vela's pride wouldn't allow her to back down. "Open fire." The humans didn't wait this time. Their ships moved like predators, striking with terrifying efficiency. One by one, the Empire's ships fell, their advanced technology rendered useless against the humans' superior tactics and weaponry. And as the battle unfolded, one thing became clear. The Galactic Empire had made a grave mistake. A trap set in the stars. The Imperial fleet, battered and disoriented, drifted within the artificial battlefield humanity had created. Energy fields encased them, shimmering like the edges of a predator's web, and the stars themselves seemed to vanish behind the invisible walls. For the first time, the Galactic Empire felt trapped. Grand Admiral Vela paced the bridge of her flagship, her mind racing. The humans' movements defied everything she had ever studied. Their ships weren't just fast. They were precise, almost as if they anticipated every move before it was made. "Status report," she barked. "Shields are holding at 62%, replied her tactical officer. "Weapon systems are operational, but we're being jammed." "Their interference is." A flash of light cut him off. Another Imperial cruiser, one of their most advanced models, was obliterated in a single concentrated volley from the human ships. Vela clenched her fists. "They're testing us. They could destroy us all at once, but they're choosing not to. The realization unsettled her crew. This wasn't a battle, it was a message. The face of humanity. From the edge of the battlefield, a human command ship approached, distinct from the smaller vessels. It was massive, sleek, and dark, its surface rippling as if alive. A beam of light shot out, forming a projection on the flagship's bridge. The image of a human appeared, a man in a dark uniform, his face calm but commanding. His voice resonated through the chamber, clear and deliberate. "I am Admiral Lai of the Human Federation. You are trespassing in our territory. This will be your final warning. Surrender or face annihilation." Vela stepped forward, her pride still intact despite the odds. "You dare to challenge the Galactic Empire. You may have surprised us, but you will not win. We are infinite. You are but a handful." Admiral Lai's expression didn't change. Numbers mean nothing when you lack understanding. Behind him, holograms of the battlefield appeared. Every Imperial ship, every movement, every vulnerability was displayed in perfect detail. "We have studied you. We know your strategies, your weaknesses." This encounter was over before it began. Vela tried to hide her unease. "If you're so certain of your victory, why not finish us now?" Lai leaned closer to the projection, his eyes piercing. "Because we don't seek destruction. We seek order. Your empire has ruled through fear and oppression for too long. That ends today." The projection faded, leaving Vela to process the weight of his words. The silent counterattack. As the human ships tightened their formation, the Imperial fleet attempted a desperate counterattack. Vela ordered her remaining ships to concentrate their fire on a single point of the energy field, hoping to break free. For a moment, it seemed to work. The combined firepower of dozens of Imperial ships created a crack in the field, a faint shimmer of hope. But then the human ships reacted. They moved as one, their precision unmatched. In a matter of minutes, they surrounded the breach and sealed it, as if mocking the Empire's attempts to escape. Humanity's true power. From within the human command ship, Admiral Lai observed the Imperial fleet struggle with a quiet intensity. His second-in-command, Commander Ayla, stood by his side. "They're panicking," she said. "Their formation is breaking apart." Lai nodded. "Good. It's time they understand." Ayla issued the command, and the human fleet activated a new system. The energy fields surrounding the Imperial fleet began to pulse, their glow intensifying. On the Imperial ships, chaos erupted. Systems began to fail. Engines sputtered, shields collapsed, and weapons froze. The energy fields weren't just barriers. They were siphoning power from the Imperial vessels. "They're draining us," one of Vela's officers shouted. "Impossible," Vela snapped, though her own instruments confirmed it. "How can they manipulate energy at this scale?" On the bridge of the human command ship, Ayla smiled. "They always think their technology is the pinnacle of advancement," she said. "It's amusing, really." Lai's voice remained steady. "They've ruled through arrogance and ignorance. It's why they fell into our trap so easily." The message. As the Imperial fleet teetered on the brink of collapse, Admiral Lai sent one final transmission to the Empire's leadership. It was broadcast on all Imperial channels, ensuring that every corner of their vast territory would hear it. "You have built an empire on the backs of the weak, believing yourselves invincible. You have enslaved, destroyed, and conquered without consequence. That ends now." The transmission showed the Imperial fleet, surrounded and powerless, a visual reminder of their vulnerability. "We are not your enemy," Lai continued, "but we will not tolerate your arrogance. Stand down, or we will dismantle your empire, piece by piece." The message ended, leaving the Empire to grapple with its first taste of true fear. A warning in the darkness. The human fleet didn't destroy the Imperial ships. Instead, they disabled them completely, leaving them adrift. It was a calculated move, a show of power that left no room for misinterpretation. As the human ships withdrew, The energy fields collapsed, restoring the stars to their full brilliance. Vela stood on the bridge of her flagship, staring at the void where the humans had been. "They let us live," she murmured, her voice trembling with a mixture of anger and relief. But the message was clear. Humanity was no longer a forgotten species, and the Galactic Empire's time of unchecked dominance was over. Back on the Empire's capital planet, the Emperor watched the transmission with a clenched jaw. His pride burned, but deep down, he felt the first flicker of doubt. The humans had issued their warning, and this time it was impossible to ignore. Humanity's past revealed. The Galactic Empire's capital planet, Arion Prime, buzzed with unease. The once proud citizens, who had lived their entire lives under the illusion of their empire's invincibility, now whispered rumors of their defeat at the hands of an unknown force. Humans. The broadcast of the Imperial fleet's humiliation was impossible to suppress, spreading through back channels, underground networks, and even the official media. Deep within the Imperial Palace, the Emperor sat in his private chamber, his face shadowed by the flickering light of a massive holographic display. It showed the human ships, sleek, dark, and impossibly advanced. Their effortless movements, their overwhelming power, it all gnawed at the Emperor's pride. "Who are they?" he muttered to himself. "Where did they come from? A forgotten legacy." The answer lay buried in the Empire's own archives. The Imperial Records Repository was an enormous structure that stretched kilometers beneath the surface of Arion Prime. It housed the knowledge of countless conquered civilizations, including fragments of ancient myths and histories. Dr. Ilara Venn, the Empire's top xenologist, had spent weeks poring over these records, determined to understand the mysterious humans. Her research brought her to the most ancient and obscure sections of the archive, where she unearthed references to a civilization that predated the Empire by millennia. "The first ones," she whispered, running her fingers over the faded text. The texts described an ancient race that had ruled the galaxy long before the Empire had risen. They were builders, creators, and warriors, their influence spanning countless star systems. But one day they vanished, leaving behind only ruins and relics of their power. One passage caught her attention. The first ones wielded knowledge so profound, it bent the fabric of existence itself. They left not because they were defeated, but because they chose to vanish. Their return would mark a new age, where the unworthy would be judged. Ilara's heart raced. The humans were not some newly emerged species. They were the descendants, or perhaps even the remnants, of the first ones. She rushed to present her findings to the Emperor. The Emperor's denial. Ilara stood before the Emperor in the Grand Council chamber, her holographic presentation lighting up the room. The council members watched with varying degrees of interest, some skeptical, others visibly nervous. "These humans," she began, "are not a random enemy. They are the heirs of a civilization that once controlled the galaxy. Their technology is not new. It is ancient, far older and more advanced than anything we have ever encountered." The Emperor sneered. "And yet they hide in the shadows. If they are so powerful, why haven't they claimed the galaxy again?" "They don't need to," Ilara replied. "They are testing us, watching us. If we continue to provoke them, they will destroy us." The council erupted into murmurs. Some voiced agreement, but others mocked the idea of surrender. The Emperor raised his hand for silence. "Enough of this nonsense," he said, his voice cold. "Legends do not win wars. We are the Galactic Empire. We will crush these so-called humans and erase their existence from history." Ilara tried to argue, but the Emperor waved her away. She left the chamber, her warnings ignored. A secret meeting. Later that night, Ilara was approached by a figure cloaked in shadows. It was Counselor Vera, one of the few who had seemed to take her words seriously. "You're right," Vera said. "The Emperor won't listen, but I will. We need to know more about these humans. We need to understand their motives before it's too late." Ilara hesitated, but then nodded. There's only one way to do that. We need to speak to them directly. It was a dangerous plan, bordering on treason. But Vera agreed. Using her influence, she arranged for a covert transmission to be sent to the humans. A human interrogation. Meanwhile, on a hidden human space station, a captured Imperial officer sat in a dimly lit chamber. Commander Ayla entered, her gaze sharp and unyielding. "You've been quiet," she said, sitting across from the officer. "But I think you've realized by now that we're not what your empire expected." The officer, a seasoned soldier, sneered. "You're just another enemy. We've crushed thousands like you." Ayla leaned forward, her tone calm, but laced with menace. "Do you even know who we are? What we are?" She activated a hologram, showing the galaxy as it had been eons ago. It depicted sprawling human cities, massive fleets, and a network of star systems connected by advanced technology. "This is our legacy," Ayla said. "We were here before your empire crawled out of the mud. We shaped this galaxy, and we left it to your kind. But now you've grown arrogant, mistaking your reign for permanence." The officer's defiance faltered. He had heard the myths of the first ones, but never believed them to be more than stories. Ayla continued, her voice steady. "We don't want war. But if your emperor insists on one, we will remind you why we ruled this galaxy before you even existed." The officer was returned to his cell, his mind racing with what he had learned. A warning from the shadows. Back on Arion Prime, Ilara and Vera's covert transmission reached its destination. A single message came back, concise and chilling. "We see you. We know your fear. If your emperor does not stand down, we will show the empire what it truly means to be powerless." The message was delivered to the emperor, who dismissed it as another bluff. But Ilara knew better. The humans weren't bluffing. They were preparing. And the galaxy was about to learn what it meant to challenge the hairs of the first ones. The gathering storm. As the empire prepared for an all-out assault, humanity remained calm, their plans unfolding with precision. They were not conquerors. They were guardians of a legacy, and they had waited long enough to reclaim their place in the galaxy. The storm was coming, and humanity was ready to unleash it. The final warning. The Imperial fleet stood poised at the edge of human space, a vast armada that represented the culmination of centuries of conquest and technological advancement. Hundreds of dreadnoughts, carriers, and frigates floated in formation, their weapons systems charged and ready. But within the command decks of these mighty vessels, tension simmered. The humans had already crippled 2 fleets, and whispers of their power had shaken even the most steadfast officers. In the heart of this colossal fleet, Grand Admiral Vela stared out at the void, her jaw set in determination. She had been humiliated once, but she would not allow it to happen again. "Status," she barked. "All systems green," replied her second-in-command. "The fleet is ready." Vela nodded. "Transmit the ultimatum. They've had their chance to surrender." A message was broadcast on all frequencies, directed toward the uncharted region, where humanity's forces were believed to lie in wait. "This is Grand Admiral Vela of the Galactic Empire. We offer you one final opportunity to submit to Imperial rule. Surrender unconditionally, or face the full might of our fleet." For a moment, there was no response. Then, as if the void itself were speaking, a single voice echoed across the comm channels. Calm, deliberate, and eerily devoid of fear. "This is Admiral Lai of the Human Federation. Your arrogance blinds you. Your fleet is but a spark in the storm. Leave now, and you may yet survive." The comm line went dead. The moon's demise. The Imperial fleet advanced, undeterred by the warning. As they crossed into human space, their sensors detected a single celestial body, a lifeless moon, orbiting a distant planet. "Scan it," Vela ordered. "It's barren," the tactical officer reported. "No signs of life or technology, likely of diversion." Vela smirked. "Then we'll make an example of it. Target the moon and fire." The fleet's weapons powered up, their energy beams converging on the moon. But before a single shot could land, an unearthly hum resonated through the fleet. The sound didn't come from their speakers. It seemed to vibrate in the very structure of their ships. Then, the moon began to glow. Bright cracks of light appeared across its surface, spreading like veins of fire. In an instant, the lifeless rock was consumed by an explosion so massive it blinded the fleet's sensors. The shockwave rippled outward, shaking even the largest Imperial dreadnoughts. When the light faded, the moon was gone. Not destroyed, but erased, as if it had never existed. Silence fell over the fleet. Even Vela, hardened by decades of war, felt a chill run down her spine. A new transmission came through, and once again, Admiral Lee's voice filled their channels. That was a warning. The next target will not be empty. Division in the Empire. The destruction of the moon sent shockwaves through the Empire. Back on Arion Prime, the Council convened in an emergency session. The Emperor sat at the head of the chamber, his expression a mask of fury. "We cannot back down now," he roared. "To retreat is to admit weakness. We must press forward and annihilate them." But the Council was divided. Councillor Vera stood, her voice steady but firm. "Your Majesty, this is not a war we can win. They destroyed a moon, a celestial body, with no effort. What do you think they will do to our core worlds?" Others voiced their agreement, but the Emperor dismissed them with a wave of his hand. "We are the Galactic Empire," he spat. "We do not surrender. We do not bow." But even as he spoke, doubt flickered in the eyes of his advisors. The battle unfolds. The Imperial fleet pressed onward, their movements calculated and precise. They encountered no resistance, no human ships. The void was eerily empty. "This doesn't feel right," Vela muttered. Then, without warning, humanity revealed itself. Hundreds of ships appeared as if from nowhere, emerging from cloaked positions and hyperspace. Unlike the Imperial vessels, the human ships were sleek and minimalist, their black hulls absorbing the light of the stars. But what stood out most was their precision. Every ship moved in perfect unison, as if guided by a single mind. Admiral Lee's voice echoed once more. "You should have listened. Now you will learn the cost of arrogance." The human fleet struck first, their weapons unlike anything the Empire had faced. Energy beams sliced through Imperial shields with ease, targeting critical systems with pinpoint accuracy. The Empire's ships fired back, but their weapons seemed clumsy and outdated in comparison. Human ships danced through the battlefield, evading every attack with impossible grace. One by one, the Empire's ships fell. Humanity's judgment. As the battle raged, Admiral Lai issued a final command. A single human dreadnought broke formation and advanced toward Vela's flagship. "Admiral," her officers cried, "they're locking onto us." Vela clenched her fists. "Hold position. We fight to the end." But the human dreadnought didn't fire. Instead, it transmitted a hologram directly to her bridge. Admiral Lai appeared, his gaze calm and unrelenting. "You've lost, Admiral. Surrender now, and we will spare what remains of your fleet." Vela hesitated, the weight of her pride clashing with the reality of her defeat. Her officers looked to her, their expressions a mix of fear and desperation. Finally, she lowered her head. "We surrender." The battle was over, but the war had only just begun. A galaxy in flux. Back on Arion Prime, the news of the fleet's surrender sent shockwaves through the Empire. The Emperor, enraged beyond reason, vowed to retaliate. But whispers of dissent grew louder. The humans had not just defeated the Empire. They had shattered the illusion of its invincibility. And as humanity's ships advanced deeper into Imperial territory, one thing became clear. The Galactic Empire's reign was coming to an end. The reckoning. The Galactic Empire had been brought to its knees. For centuries, it had been the undisputed ruler of the galaxy, its vast fleets and armies striking fear into countless worlds. But now, for the first time, It faced an adversary it could neither intimidate nor overpower. Humanity, the shadowed inheritors of the galaxy's forgotten past, had returned. The Imperial Council chamber was filled with tension as the Emperor stood before his advisors. His once commanding presence was now tinged with desperation. "They have humiliated us," he growled, his voice trembling with rage. "Our fleets crippled, our pride shattered. But this is not the end. We must fight. To surrender is to abandon everything we have built." Councillor Vera rose, her expression defiant. "Your Majesty, fighting them is no longer an option. You've seen what they can do. If we continue this war, we risk losing everything. Our planets, our people, our empire itself." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "You would have us grovel before them, beg for mercy." "No," Vera replied. "I would have us survive." The ultimatum. As the Council argued, a message arrived from the humans. It was transmitted directly to the Emperor's private chamber, bypassing all Imperial security measures. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing Admiral Lai. "Emperor," he began, his tone neither hostile nor conciliatory. "We have no desire to conquer your worlds or rule over your people, but your arrogance and aggression have forced our hand." The Emperor's fists clenched, but he said nothing. "We give you one final chance," Lai continued. "Surrender, and your empire will be allowed to exist under strict terms. Resist, and we will dismantle your rule, system by system." The Emperor's voice was ice. "And if I refuse?" A hologram zoomed out, revealing a massive human fleet orbiting one of the Empire's core worlds. In the background, the planet's atmosphere shimmered as human ships deployed technology that manipulated its weather, creating violent storms as a demonstration of their power. "Then your empire ends today," Lai said. The transmission ended, leaving the Emperor alone with his thoughts. The collapse of pride. For hours, the Emperor remained silent. Outside his chamber, the Council debated endlessly, divided between those who sought peace and those who demanded a final stand. But the decision came not from the Council, nor even the Emperor, but from the people. Across the Empire's core worlds, protests erupted as citizens demanded an end to the war. They had seen the humans' power firsthand and knew the Empire could not protect them. The military, too, began to waver. Officers and soldiers alike questioned the wisdom of continuing a fight they could not win. Rumors spread of entire fleets defecting or surrendering without a fight. The Emperor, once the unchallenged ruler of the galaxy, found himself isolated. The surrender. At last, the Emperor convened the Council. His voice, once commanding, was now weary. "We will surrender," he said, his words heavy with defeat. "But on our terms." A delegation was sent to meet the humans on neutral ground, a lifeless moon orbiting a gas giant. The human fleet hovered above, their ships casting long shadows over the desolate landscape. Admiral Lai stood at the head of the human delegation, his expression calm but resolute. The Imperial representatives, led by Vera, approached cautiously. "We accept your terms," Vera said, "but we ask for leniency. The people of the Empire are not your enemy." Lai nodded. "We seek no vengeance against your people. Our fight has always been with your leaders and their arrogance. The Empire will be allowed to exist, but its power will be dismantled. No fleets, no armies, no oppression." Vera hesitated. "And the Emperor?" "That is for your people to decide," Lai replied. "But know this, if he ever seeks to rebuild, we will return." The terms were signed, and the war was over. A new era. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy began to change. The Empire's vast fleets were dismantled under human supervision, and its colonies were granted autonomy. The Emperor, stripped of his power, was exiled to a distant world, his name becoming a cautionary tale of hubris and downfall. But humanity did not seek to replace the Empire. Instead, they withdrew to their own space, watching and waiting. Their message was clear. They were not conquerors, but protectors of balance. The final message. On the day the humans officially ended their occupation of imperial space, a final transmission was broadcast across the galaxy. "This galaxy was once ours," Admiral Lee's voice said, echoing through the stars. "We do not seek to rule it again, but we will not allow chaos to reign. Remember this peace, for it is not born of weakness but of restraint. Should you threaten it, we will return, and next time, there will be no mercy." The message lingered in the minds of every species, a reminder of humanity's quiet but undeniable power. The Watchers in the Shadows. As humanity faded back into the void, the galaxy held its breath. The once mighty empire had fallen, but its downfall left a vacuum of power. New alliances began to form, and whispers of rebellion spread among those who resented humanity's interference. But in the shadows, humanity remained vigilant, unseen but always present, for they knew that peace was fragile, and their duty as guardians was far from over. The galaxy had entered a new era, one defined not by conquest, but by the quiet, watchful eyes of a species that had reclaimed its rightful place among the stars.